Hello and welcome to Focus on Israel and the Palestinian Territories. My name is Paul Calvert. Genesis 12 verse 3 from the New King James Bible says this: I will bless those who bless you, and I will curse him who curses you, and in you all the families of the earth shall be blessed. I'm with Illan Scolnik from the Friends of Zion Museum here in the heart of Jerusalem. Now, Illan, what is the Friends of Zion Museum?
So the Friends of Zion Museum is a global organization that was created to fight anti-Semitism and to stand strong against the BDS movement. We have over 68 million members on our social media, making us the largest pro-Israel organization in social media, aimed at creating an army of ambassadors, of soldiers essentially, that will stand up for the state of Israel and the Jewish people on the world stage.
Now, recently you just opened the new media center. Who was there to celebrate this opening?
So we were honored to host the Christian Media Summit, about 150 broadcasters from around the world. The Prime Minister of the State of Israel attended the event and was the keynote speaker, as well as the U.S. Ambassador and many, many other dignitaries throughout the State of Israel. It was, of course, broadcast on television all around the world. The beauty of the event was that essentially this is the first communication center that is being allowed to broadcast to leaders who come to Israel who don't have the means, or groups who would like to broadcast the truth about what they're seeing in Israel to their communities around the world.
What is the aim of the media center?
The aim of the media center is to fight anti-Semitism and to stand up against BDS on the world stage. The media center has the capabilities, with a touch of a button, to create two-way communication with large groups of people, churches, communities, synagogues all over the world, and allowing them to communicate, allowing them to reach one another with the latest technologies.
Are you working a lot online to combat anti-Semitism?
So the museum has now just signed a major agreement with an online education company called Blackboard. It's a large company in the United States with offices in the UK and all over the world. This online education platform teaches Harvard, Yale, all the major universities in the United States, and it allows a platform to educate 3 million students at the same time. The idea now is to take the content of the museum, to take the research that has been done on Christian Zionists, on archaeology, on history, and take that information, put it online, and begin educating millions of people all over the world.
Is there a lot of anti-Semitism, and is it rife in the college campuses?
Anti-Semitism is all over. I believe that we're seeing a rise in anti-Semitism over the past years. In college campuses, it is perhaps very, very rampant. I would say that we are even identifying that college is almost too late to reach, and we're now looking at reaching high school students and elementary school students, because the battleground is being fought younger and younger. People have access to information through their portable devices, through their smartphones. And what we are aiming to do is to allow people to have access to information free of charge, and to really allow them to have the best sources of information that can be found for their education.
Is it important to be online on social media is where the battle of the hearts and minds is?
Yes, I think that social media is where the current battle is. People, we can see all of our neighbors here in Israel, all of the Arab Spring, all of the revolutions that we've seen have been motivated by social media. What's going on in Iran right now with riots just over the last few days, we're seeing is motivated by social media. What's going on in China and in Hong Kong is the roots of those are on social media. We do have the power to change people's minds and opinions through social media. One of the key cases that we speak about all the time is when you look at the Rabbi Goldstein and his community, when the aggressor, the murderer who shot those people, posted on social media before the event saying he's going to go and shoot many Jews. And people were encouraging him and saying to him, get a high score, which is another way of saying kill as many as possible. We want to be able to, give the tools to research, to find those people, to find the areas where we can help and identify. But even more importantly, we want to be able to educate people so that they're seeing the positive information as opposed to always the negative.
Now today we have the BDS movement, boycott, divestment and sanctions. Is this just a new form of anti-Semitism? You look back in the 1940s, 1930s, 1940s, people were told not to buy from Jews in Germany. Is this a new form of anti-Semitism?
Well, what just happened in the European Union, where they've now forced all people to label their items as to that they come from various parts of Israel. Anti-Israel or anti-Israel sentiment is the newest form of anti-Semitism. Essentially, people hated Jews. There was anti-Semitism before there was a state, and the current anti-Semitism has nothing to do with the state of Israel, because anyone who can actually see what is going on both in Israel and the Middle East will very quickly see that by boycotting Israel is not only having the opposite effect by bringing people apart as opposed to bringing them together, but it's actually in many cases hurting those very people that you're trying to support. One of the cases in point was SodaStream. SodaStream was boycotted around the world for having a factory in just outside of Jerusalem, and the thousands of employees that were let go in order to close that factory were 85% of them were Palestinians. And now they're unemployed. The factory was moved into Israel. So the result was the direct opposite of what was hoped to be achieved.
You've actually answered my next question. Does boycotting Israel actually damage Palestinian livelihood?
I would say without question it does. I think that Israel employs millions of Palestinians every day that come into Israel. The hypocrisy, again, of BDS is rampant, because if people wanted to actually boycott and divest in Israel, they should immediately take their cell phones and throw away all their cell phones, because all the chips come from Israel. They should open their laptops and throw away all of their 30% of their computers come from Israel and research that is done in Israel. They should probably not go and be treated for cancer, probably avoid some various heart surgeries, things that are groundbreaking in Israel. In other words, what you've done is you've decided to be increasingly hypocritic and only attack certain areas of the Israeli economy. And by the way, those are the areas that immediately affect large factories that employ Palestinians, employ Arabs, and it is doing the direct opposite. It creates animosity within Israel towards those factories, and the likelihood of a business developer opening such a factory in the future just gets lower and lower.
Now you have the Friends of Zion Ambassador Institute. Tell us a bit about that.
The Friends of Zion Ambassador Institute is aimed at training people, giving people a proper course of a number of courses, both in history, archaeology, as well as media relations and so on, giving them the tools to become informal ambassadors for the State of Israel. What we've already started doing is, for example, various diplomatic delegations that come to Israel, they get certain information from us. Our goal is to educate, and to educate both on a high level as well as to as many people as possible, but giving people a diploma that will allow them to say that they can become a spokesperson. They can have the tools to access information that will allow them to combat, the anti-Semitism that they may be witnessing on a daily basis.
So you're basically developing homes and computers as Israeli ambassadors, sharing the good news about what Israel is doing in the lives that they're changing.
Well, what we see more and more in media all over the world is we see the negative. We see all the people that are saying all the bad things that Israel does. There are not enough people that are talking about all the good things that Israel does. And, every person is going to have some faults and nothing is going to be perfect. But on the other hand, there's so much good that is coming out of this small state and has come out of this small state, besides the fact that it is an oasis of democracy and freedom within the Middle East, and in addition to that, being a groundbreaker in fields of agriculture, medicine, and other areas in the world. You will see that those things are just unprecedented, and they need to be spoken about much more.
Are you seeing a change within the work that you're doing?
The work that we're doing, we are seeing that the target audience is getting younger and younger. We're looking no longer even to target college campuses. We're looking to target high school students and elementary school students. Our work is growing and becoming more and more recognized as necessary. We have partnerships with government. We have partnerships with ambassadors and other countries all over the world. And people are beginning to realize that being a friend of Zion is not a taboo. In fact, it is something that will bless them as well as blessing us.
Are you excited to see that there's a change in the church? The church in the past has been very anti-Semitic in some points. Is it exciting to see the change that's developing there as well?
I think that the change all around the Bible-believing Christian world, as well as the Bible-believing world in general, the traditional world, is amazing. And it is something that is very important, because Israel, as a small country, cannot win their social media wars by themselves. There's only 8 million Israelis, and if 1 million of them are Arabs, and 1 million of them are ultra-Orthodox, which perhaps don't use their portable devices and social media. So those types of things, just in terms of the numbers, when you see people who are recognizing the importance of the biblical connection to the land of Israel, and recognizing that an attack on a Jewish Israel is an attack on a Christian Israel, is very, very important. And the more it's recognized, I think the more people will realize that every time someone says that Abraham didn't walk here or Moses wasn't here is actually the equivalent of saying that Jesus didn't walk here, because Jesus based himself on the Old Testament. And that is something that, myself as a Jewish person in Israel won't stand for, and I believe that every Bible-believing Christian should not stand for.
Do we need to see a big change in some of the old institutions like the United Nations, saying that the Temple Mount should be the Arab name rather than the Hebrew name? It's a Jewish place.
Well, United Nations for a long time has been a cesspool, if you will, of anti-Israel sentiment. Never mind if you look at dry facts, for example, when you look at the condemnation of the State of Israel, if you take all of the countries, Iran, Korea, all of those countries put together, it doesn't equal the number of condemnations against the State of Israel. And when you look at just those types of statistics, you realize that the United Nations clearly has a bias. When you see the actions that are being taken by many of the member states, you also realize, that the fact that a country like Iran can be on the Human Rights Commission of the United Nations is something that is absurd. And again, not saying that everything that Israel does is perfect and is wonderful, but when you look at the, let's say, the playing field in which we're playing in, I think we're doing quite well. And when you look at the United Nations and those types of institutions, yes, and we're seeing that, by the way, even with the United States, when they have started cutting funding to many of those anti-Israel sentiments in the United Nations, it will have its effect, but it'll take a long time, and it's an effect that relies on financial support that they've received for years. People have to realize that there is also not only the carrot for supporting Israel, but there can also be the stick, if you will.
What's your prayer, finally, for the future of the Friends of Zion Museum?
For the Friends of Zion Museum, my prayer really is that we would be able to reach millions and millions of people, and that the dissemination of information will be worldwide, that we will be able to become a beacon, a lighthouse, if you will, a place where people can recognize that they can get good information, immediate information with a touch of a button, and accessible to everyone. And that's something that if we can change the minds of 100, 1,000, 10,000, 1 million people, we will have known that our mission has been accomplished.
Okay, Illan, thank you much.
Thank you, and blessings.
If you'd like to know more about our show, you can join us on Facebook. Just look for Focus on Israel-Radio. Ezekiel 37 verse 4-6 says this: Again he said to me, Prophesy to these bones, and say to them, O dry bones, hear the word of the Lord. Thus says the Lord God of these bones, Surely I will cause breath to enter into you, and you shall live. I will put sinners on you, and bring flesh upon you, cover you with skin, and put breath in you, and you shall live. Then you shall know that I am the Lord, and the Jews will receive the real shalom peace.